Would you say I have a reasonable understanding of how to execute these various sex acts properly?
Yes.
How awesome is that? What you're doing is disgusting.
Listen, lady. Hello, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm Stirling Cooper. Welcome. Hope you're all doing great today. See a few guys in the chat already. Rage Guy, good to see you as always, mate. Barry with some concerns. Barry with some concerns about Me Too. We're going to get into that. We're going to talk a bit about Me Too. We're going to talk a bit about last-minute resistance. DN in the chat as well. It's good to see you. So, this is, in today's stream, I'm going to give you guys a sneak peek at my brand new ebook, How to Seal the Deal, because I've had a lot of dudes over the past year asking me questions about closing on the first date, asking me questions about last-minute resistance in particular, because as it pertains to sex, as it pertains to sealing the deal, as it pertains to closing on dates. So I decided to put together basically this manual, effectively, which basically baby steps guys through all the different tactical tips and techniques that me and my old wings kind of accumulated over the years when we were going out, you know, hitting up bars, hitting up clubs, getting girls on dates from Tinder and that kind of stuff. So, primarily because this stuff isn't really taught anymore, a lot of the old school forums that used to be around for dudes to learn pickup don't exist anymore. A lot of the old websites don't exist anymore. A lot of the old YouTube channels don't really exist anymore. Don't really post anything anymore. They're kind of irrelevant now. And my friends who are dating coaches, who are great dating coaches, they're far better dating coaches than I am, but they don't focus on these little tactical things. They focus more on sort of high level concepts. They focus more on, you know, improving yourself as a man, improving your worth as a man, becoming a high value guy. This is a very, very common theme I see my friends teaching now, which is great. And that's, I don't discourage that at all. You know, my buddy John from Modern Life Dating, health, wealth, relationships, right? Money, muscles, game. That's what he sort of preaches. Same with Fresh and Fit with Myron and Walter from Fresh and Fit podcast, same thing. And same with Troy Francis. But I don't disagree with any of that at all. But what I think is missing is a lot of this tactical information, which gets lumped into the kind of category of like PUA stuff, and so it kind of gets shunned. It kind of gets a bad rap, but it's not, you know, gimmicky. It's not routines. You're not rote learning things. You're not reciting words verbatim. You're not wearing a feather boa and putting on a stupid hat. And it's not that kind of stuff. It's little tiny tactical tweaks that guys can make either before the date, like the way they set the date up, actually what they're doing on the date and what they're kind of how they're interacting on the date, and then what they're doing when they're trying to make that pull back to their place, or when they do get their girl back to their place, how they're escalating. Little tweaks that any guy can make to his game that's going to significantly increase his lay count. It's going to significantly increase his ability to close on a date. Because let's face it, like you put all this time and effort into going on a date. You put all this time and effort into getting a girl's number off of Tinder or Bumble or Hinge or whatever. Or you approach a girl on the street and you get a number. You're texting back and forth. You get her out. You put all this time and effort into, you know, money, muscles, Like you're building up your wealth, you're building up your value, you're building up your physique, you're making your Instagram look really good, and you finally get a girl out, and then you fuck it up. That is extremely, extremely frustrating. You don't seal the deal at the end of that. You put all this time and effort into your time and your energy, time in particular, which is a non-renewable resource, the one thing you can never get back. And then you get down to brass tacks, you get down to the end of it, and you can't close. It's a very frustrating experience for a lot of guys. And it's not that complicated, but most guys make the same mistakes, the same few fundamental mistakes with just a few tiny little tweaks, which is what I cover in this new book of mine, can massively reduce that. And it can massively reduce your instances of last-minute resistance, which is something that somebody mentioned in the chat earlier on. And Latroy Django, will this help someone that is living at home with their family? Yes, I do. I cover things like logistics. I have a big section in this book on exactly that, on logistics and sort of the trade-offs you're going to have to make and potential solutions for somebody who doesn't have the ideal setup, like you, for example, living with their family, because I've been there. Like I haven't always, been in the situation I'm in. Shout out to C4. Like what a lot of people don't realize is that I was in a similar situation, if not a worse situation, than most of the guys who come looking for advice on this channel or Rollo's channel or John's channel or Rich Cooper's channel, whatever. I was in a similar situation. I was, for the most part, a lot of the times I was probably in a worse situation than you. Probably with more awkward, more socially awkward, less experienced with women, less socialized, more nervous, that kind of stuff. And I learned in my 20s over the years to get over that stuff, and I learned how to fix all that stuff. So any sort of problem that you guys have, I've kind of been there. And again, I'm not trying to. I really want to make it clear. I'm not a dating coach. I'm not a pickup coach. I'm not any of that. But what I am is I am a guy who does know how to get laid pretty easily. That is something I have figured out. And the stuff I lay down in this new book, How to Seal a Deal, is basically a compilation of all the little tactical tips and tricks and information that I've developed over the years. Not just me, by the way, but me and my early wings. So I have a couple of guys who I grew up with, who I went through my 20s with, as we were all learning this sort of getting better with girls thing. They went on to coach for dating companies. I had one guy who was a wing of mine. He went on to coach for RSD, and I have another guy who went on to coach for Brad P. So two very different schools of pickup, and between the three of us, we kind of all shared a lot of ideas. We all shared a lot of these different tactics and techniques and sort of borrowed them from each other, and then iterated on them to get to kind of the point where we're at now. So I like this, Emerald. Does it cover sausage exercises, or is it pure game? It is pure game. It doesn't cover sausage exercises. It does cover, however, a few different things you can do when it comes to physically escalating on a woman. That's going to help prevent last-minute resistance. That's going to help lead things to sex more smoothly. I do cover a few tips and techniques on that in this book, and I'm going to dive in and actually give away a bit of the book here today. I'm going to dive in and show you some free examples. We'll scroll through a bit of the book. Where do we get to? There was a question here. Don Coolio question. Hello, Stirling. Hello, back to you. What the one of the top escort agency in the UK signed up to 2 in the past, 2 was unsuccessful. So you're looking to be an escort, I would assume. Yeah, I didn't. When I was living in the UK, the UK, oddly enough, is actually a very competitive place to try and be a male escort. Australia. It's much easier in Australia because there's a few designated forums. Not forums, bulletin boards where people advertise. So it's very, very easy to know where all the customers are going to find people. in the UK, it wasn't as centralized. And what happens in the UK is a bit of a flooded market from my experience in the UK. I did get some work in the UK, but it was a case of lots of younger, like roided up dudes from the north. Like not I'm not thinking of Geordies. Am I thinking of Geordies? Yeah, Geordies. I think they would call them Geordies. Coming down to London, like young roided up dudes coming down to London, sort of flood the market, and so the price was really was quite low. So yeah, look, I honestly can't give you any great advice on finding work there. I signed up for a couple of agencies myself. The agencies don't really do anything. You have to kind of go out and hunt and find your own clients in your own ways. Just keep searching, keep looking for different forums and things. Oops, here we go. Where we get to? Debawa. Would you say being assertive is the main quality with women in when it comes to clothing? I would say you do have to be assertive. You do have to be leading the interaction, but you also have to do it in a way which gives her plausible deniability. And we'll go into that in a second. That's a very, very important thing to cover. I'm going to read directly from my book so you have an understanding of exactly what I mean when I talk about plausible deniability. Yeah, exactly, Don. I figured you were a gigolo. Sean O'Neill, looking forward to your book. Thank you very much, sir. Do you remember your first breakthrough with first date sex? Oh, that's a great question. That's actually a really good question. Let's see if I can remember. You see, when I was learning this stuff, so I got into this pickup stuff when I was in college, and so I started developing like game around like social circle stuff, and first of all, when I was still at college, before I left college, before I started hitting up bars and clubs, I was learning game through like social circle and parties and things, which is very easy to get like a first night lay. So that's kind of my experience of it was going to these college parties and then chatting to girls and then hooking up with one, bringing her back to your college dorm room. So the first time and then it wasn't until like I left college when I was going on dates and stuff and doing it in this more sort of structured way because you don't have that sort of network that you have in college. But I do have a few distinct memories early on of executing on all of the things I talk about here when it was like light bulb moments sort of going off in your head, like the first time you ever sort of get over last minute resistance with a girl and you realize, oh shit, this isn't like this isn't the scary thing I thought it was, or this isn't real resistance. This isn't like there's a difference between like a real no and a last minute resistance no, you know, and you start to learn that. Yeah, exactly, Sean. Yeah, pre-work is essential for the first date. Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I'm. One of the things I mentioned in this book is that I have a whole chapter which is about pre-date stuff. So it's what you can do leading into the date, like setup, that's going to make it much, much easier for you to seal the deal later on. Kiki has said, I am hypersexual. Good for you. Is it recommended that I enter the adult entertainment industry to interact with more women, or should I just make myself a high-value man and enjoy multiple women? I mean, I don't know. By the looks of your name, Kiki, I would assume that you are not living in you sound like you might be living in a country where pornography is illegal. Just judging by your name. If you're an American, then that's a different case. It is not easy to get into the adult entertainment industry, mate. It is not easy. You need to be very good at networking to get into this industry. First of all, if you want to give it a try, I'd suggest you try out the swinging scene. If you're a hypersexual guy, I suggest trying to network your way into the swinging scene and going to a few parties, seeing how you do there. Because if you can bang in front of a room full of people at a swingers party, you can probably do pornography. So, but at the same time, why not increase your sexual market value, as they say, right? This is not true, Don. I will say right now. He says, "What's the first step to becoming a porn worker here in the UK?" Your understanding is you sign up to agencies. Nope, there are no agencies in the UK. If you're signing up to an agency in the UK, you're probably getting scammed. You're either having a gay dude like jerk off to your pics, probably if you've sent in pictures, or you're paying some money to be listed as on their agency, and they're just taking your money. There are no agencies in the UK. I know because I've worked in the industry in the UK. I know the industry in the UK. There aren't any agencies. There are no legit agencies in the UK, especially for dudes. So yeah, there are. That is not how you get work. You have to network. You have to like know people and contact them and hit them up that way. Anyway, let's get stuck in good timing, Rage Guy. Let's get stuck into it. I am going to do exactly that right now. Let's hide that for a second. Where is... Just finding this link right here. Yeah, here we go. Boom. All right. So this is my brand new book. Edited deal. This is on So right now this is on pre-order until 5 p.m. Pacific time today. It goes live at 5 p.m. today. So you can get the book at 50% off right now until it goes live at 5 p.m. Pacific time today. So jump on that right now. The link is in the chat. The link is down below in the description as well. So jump on it there. So right now the price is $24. After 5 p.m. today, it jumps up to $49. It is well worth every penny, but I'm giving you guys a bit of a discount because you're loyal followers of my show. You watch my show. If you're on my email list, you're on my email list. You get this sort of stuff at a discount the first time I put it out there. If you're part of my community, that's my way of giving back to you guys for supporting my work. I like to give you some stuff at a significant discount to everybody else. So let's go through some things in here. So this gives you an idea of how the book's structured. I start off with this book by giving you guys a rundown of some real basic principles and an understanding of things that I refer to later on in the book. So once you have these sort of basic principles in your head, it gives you your own sort of internal structure to self-diagnose where you might be going wrong. And then, like I said, I go over like pre-date scenarios, on the date, and then back at your place, right? So let's just skip right ahead. I'm going to talk about something really important here. So we all know, for those of you guys who don't know let's just go over last minute resistance really quickly. So this idea of if you've ever been with a girl and you've taken her home and you're sitting there until you're making out, you're starting to get hot and heavy, and then you try to make the next move. Like you slide your hand down her pants and she sort of puts her hand on yours and stops you, and she says, "Oh no, we can't do this," or "We shouldn't be doing this," or "I'm not that kind of girl," or "We just met, this is crazy." These kinds of phrases, right? That is an example of what we refer to as last minute resistance. So basically, everything up until that point was going great. She seemed like she was having a great time. She's obviously into you. You can tell from her body language, from her vocal tone, from her eye contact, from all these different cues. You can tell she's actually into you. But then you try to escalate it, and things get a little bit, and things stop. They get cold all of a sudden. This is her anti-slut defense. Right, you've got to understand. Even in this day and age, still, even as slutty as girls are, in this day and age, you still will come across this to a degree. Even I come across this to a degree. Obviously, the more quote unquote high value you are, the more she understands how high value you are. Obviously, like if you're like a celebrity, something like this, you're going to encounter far less last minute resistance than the average guy is going to. Okay, that's fine. But it's still important to understand this concept and understand how to get around it, because let's face it, 90% of men are not at that place where they're going to be considered a high value man yet. They're not at the place where a woman is going to immediately recognize that he's a high value guy, and her hindbrain is saying, "I must sleep with him now before I miss this chance." That's the ideal scenario. You want to get to that point. Keep working on yourself. That'll take a while. But most of you aren't there. However, women still want to have sex. Men and women are still having sex, every day of the week at the world. And it should be you having sex. And here is, the understanding last-minute resistance and understanding how to mitigate it and how to get around it is a key component to learning how to close successfully. And this is not about, I'm not talking about non-consensual stuff. I'm not talking about pushing anyone's boundaries. I'm not talking about stepping over boundaries. I'm not talking about, for anyone who's a fucking moron who might be listening to this right now and trying to find the worst possible interpretation of anything ever. There's a difference, right? Between anyone who has any modicum of experience with a woman will tell you there's a difference between a firm no and a last-minute resistance no. A last-minute resistance no is, I'm not sure that you are like the guy you say you are, or it's it's more often than not, it's the anti-slut defense. It's the I don't want to feel like a slut. No. So you still have to understand that women do not want to be considered a slut by others, and she also doesn't want herself to consider herself a slut, for the most part, for most girls, for the average girl, right? So paradoxically, women want that fun, exciting, pleasurable feeling of acting like a slut without feeling the guilt and the shame and the social ramifications of actually being a slut. That's the paradox, right? So it's your job as a man to allow that to happen, to help facilitate that balance between those two emotions, giving her the fun, pleasurable ones and mitigating the shame and guilt ones. So, and obviously for those of you who don't really understand why this is the case, I'm sure a lot of you will, but again, just a real quick primer for those who don't understand why that even happens. It's an evolved evolutionary response. So thousands of years ago, caveman times, if a dude pumps semen into her and pumps and dumps her, she gets pregnant. Women are very vulnerable when they're pregnant. Women aren't as strong as men. They can't provide for themselves. Can't go out and hunt and kill something if they're pregnant. They struggle to walk around. So if a woman gets pregnant and a guy isn't around to look after her, she and her kid are very likely to die in the caveman times, right? And this is the time that our brains and our biology has evolved from, right? That's why it's relevant. So her last-minute resistance, her anti-slut defense, is a way of her trying to make sure that the guy who's about to impregnate her is going to stick around, is going to commit, or is going to provide some degree of resources and safety to her and her offspring so that they don't die. It's really, that's where that emotion comes from the back of my hindbrain. So another concept I'm going to talk about really quickly here in this stream is this idea of plausible deniability, because this is a very important one. I'm not going to go over all the concepts in the book to start with, but I think these two are really, really important to understand. So in order for you to lead an interaction where you want it to go, e.g. from the date to your place, you have to give her an excuse in retrospect that she can use in retrospect, right? And this is plausible deniability. So she has to be able to backwards rationalize why you had sex. And it can't be her fault that things escalated. She has to be innocent in this. She has to have had no part in it at all. It has to have just magically happened, right? So when her girlfriends eventually ask her, how did you end up sleeping with him? She has a response, she has some kind of response like, oh, I went to his house to check out his dog, and then, one thing led to another, and then it was so magical. That is a better story for her than he said, hey, you want to fuck? And I said, yes. The latter makes her look like a total slut. And her friends will call her a slut. Her friends will call her say that she's easy for doing that. So your job is to mitigate that by giving her some degree of plausible deniability. It doesn't have to be too extravagant or too extreme, but you have to give her some kind of plausible deniability. You're not asking her to be a slut. You're not asking her to sign a sexual contract. It just magically happens. She gets sort of swept up in the whirlwind of emotions and circumstances and magically ends up on your penis. So I had a perfect example of this with a guy I was on a coaching call with not that long ago in a group coaching session. And he was saying, it's very easy when the girl's really, when I go on dates and I know the girl's into me, it's super easy. I just say, hey, you want to come back to my place? And we go back and we're down. And that can happen. I'm not saying don't do that. I'm not saying ignore those opportunities when they present themselves to you. Absolutely jump on them. But I said to him, well, what do you do when the girl isn't into you? He said, well, I said, I try my shot. I said the same thing. Hey, you want to come back to my place? And then they shoot me down and I go home alone. And I said to him, do you realize what you're doing there? By saying something as blatant as, so do you want to come back to my place? Wink, wink. You're asking her to sign a sexual contract. You're asking her to say, you're basically saying, do you want to fuck? Because she understands that. She understands that going back to your place for no reason whatsoever means go back to your place to have sex. That's what she understands that. So it takes all the mystery out of it. It takes all the sexual tension out of it. You're overtly asking her to be a slut. And the part of the seduction that women really like is the sexual tension, is the uncertainty, is the mystery. That's the part they really like. You know, she wants to feel all of that experience. She doesn't want to cut. Guys want to cut straight to the sex part, right? They want to cut straight to the chase. But women want that whole experience. They want the dance of it all. You know. So she also doesn't want to, you know, she doesn't want to make a man angry. This is another interesting thing to understand. Because women do live in fear of, you know, sexual assault, and they do live in fear of being, you know, being attacked by men or they live in fear of turning down men and then making them angry. That's a real fear they have. Because, you know, think about it this way: if you made her sign a sexual contract, if you said, hey, let's go back to my place and fuck, and she's like, okay, and then you get back to your place and she changes her mind, the guy is going to be like, well, you said you'd fuck me, so why aren't you fucking me? She doesn't want to make... They subconsciously understand that they don't want to make men angry because they know that men are stronger than them. They know that that is a potential threat to their safety and their security. So it's not in her best interests to put herself in a position where she can directly piss you off, right? She has to give herself a way out. Right, and that's where plausible deniability comes in. That's where not being direct and you know, making a sign a sexual contract comes in. So all these elements kind of come into play here. Now let me quickly catch up on the chat here. As I've been ranting. Yes, absolutely, Don. Make sure to hit the like button. Thank you for the reminder. Exactly, Kiki. Teach a man game, and he'll have an endless supply of women throughout his life. It's basic skills that every guy should know. If a guy doesn't want to live a frustrated life, he should absolutely be learning this stuff. Davina says semen is an antidepressant. I tend to agree with you. I think it is for you guys. It's definitely an antidepressant for them. Yeah, exactly, Don. Yeah. I always tell men, women want to accidentally fall and slip on a dick. That's a good way of phrasing it. I think I actually use that exact phrase in this book. Delfinity says, "Why don't they just lie instead?" I'm not sure. Are you referring to men or are you referring to women? Yeah, and in what context? I'm not sure. This was a few minutes ago, as I was reading this out. So. Oh, where we go to? Hello, Mo C. What look like you're new here. Welcome to the channel. Just time on your channel. Heard about your first when you're on Roller channel. Well, welcome, sir. Good to see you here. Good to see you. Hope you're going to learn something. Yeah, that's a good point here, Key. Men have to be disciplined to not communicate so upfront and direct. Yeah, that's absolutely true. They have to learn. Men have to learn because men like to. That's how men communicate with other men. They want to communicate directly and to the point and upfront and be efficient with their time and energy because they know it's a scarce resource. But when you're talking with women, you have to learn to not be direct and upfront with communication. You have to learn to be subvert and mysterious and not give the game away because that's where the fun is, right? All right. let's get back into it. So that's a basic introduction to some of the just a couple of principles that I go over, right, in the beginning of this book. Now let's dive into what I'm going to dive into is I'm going to give you an example or two from each of these sections, from the pre-date stuff to on the date to back at your place, and I'm just going to give away some freebies of this book so you guys can see exactly what's in the book, so you get an idea of where the value is. And if you can't afford it right now, well, I would jump on it right now, because the price is only going to go up after 5 o'clock today, 5 p.m. Pacific time. The price jumps up to $49. Right now, it's at 50% discount. It's at $24 because it's a pre-order discount. Goes live at 5 o'clock today. So if you want to save yourself some money, jump on it. Get it right now. Anyway, let's dive into it. Let's keep going. Let's give you another example or two. So pre-date, right? This first principle is the idea of preparing for success. Now, someone in the chat earlier said, a lot of his success on dates is about the preparation before he goes into it. And I agree. You should always go into every date assuming that you are going to close. You should always go into a date assuming success. So what does this mean? So it means that little things that you can do. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, you can get laid without any of this stuff. You absolutely can. But it's a case of doing these things makes the job so much easier. It makes it so much less work, so much more efficient, so much quicker. So why wouldn't you? And when you don't do these things, when you don't, for example, like preparing for success, it gives you more hurdles and obstacles later on in the interaction that you have to overcome. So, as a perfect example, making sure your apartment is in a good order. It's clean. It's tidy. Your bathroom is clean. Your toilet is clean. You don't have stains on the toilet bowl, hairs everywhere, piles of trash laying around. Because if you have all that stuff, for a start, it communicates that you're not a very high value guy, that you don't have your shit together. So that's the first thing. So if you brought a girl home and your apartment was a pigsty, your apartment was a mess, yes, you can absolutely still close. Don't get me wrong. If the girl likes you enough, that's fine. Or if you're just good enough with the gift of the gab, if you're a good enough talker, if you're a smooth enough talker, you can get around all these objections. Absolutely. But most of you aren't that guy. Most guys can't do that. So you make up for, where you might be lacking in smooth talking gorilla pimp game. You make up for that by having your logistics sorted out. You make up for that by preparing for success beforehand. You make you make life easier on yourself. You prepare for success. So, for example, preparing for success by having a clean, tidy apartment, you're communicating that you're a high value guy. You're communicating that you're successful. You're communicating that your life is in order. You're also communicating that you have women in your life, because dudes who have women in their life keep their shit tidy. This is a pretty subtle thing, but she understands that. She walks into a guy's apartment and it's spotless. Either he has girls who clean it for him regularly, or he cleans it regularly himself because he has girls around. If you notice guys who are like bachelors, guys who only hang out with other men, their apartments aren't really clean. And everyone kind of understands that. So there's a sub-communication going on that, if his shit's tidy, he probably has girls in his life, which is a attractive trait. It's pre-selection to a degree. So let's keep going. Like I said, don't have piles of trash everywhere. Make sure your laundry's low. Spray some air freshener around the trash can or around the toilet, right? So that there's no unpleasant odors like lingering in your apartment if you did just happen to clean it before she came around. Like, again, just little subtle things. It's smooth it over. It's make the interaction smooth, make your impression smooth. You only get one chance at a first impression with anybody. And when it comes to a woman, you want that first impression to be a good one so that she will fuck you. Simple as that. So you can lead things smoothly to the bedroom. So let's keep going. Let's talk about things like bad hygiene, bad breath, bad smelling body odor, dressing bad. These are all things like not taking time to have a good appearance. These are all things you should be doing before you go step out that door on that date. Making sure you're presenting well, make sure you look good, smell good. That's a very important thing. A lot of dudes have terrible breath and they don't even fucking realize it. Tongue scraper, simple thing you can buy. Tongue scraper. Your tongue should be pink. You shouldn't have any of this white crap on your tongue. If you do, that means you've got bacteria on your tongue, which is causing your breath to stink. Also, flossing, getting all that crap from around your teeth, will also massively improve your breath. And then obviously things like, brushing your teeth and mouthwash and stuff. But most guys just brush their teeth. They don't worry about getting rid of all the bacteria and the plaque that is in their mouth, which causes the bad breath in the first place. So that's a nice little tip for you guys there. Body odor and these sort of things, wearing a nice cologne, whatever. So all these little things go into improving your first impression. Because if you don't, if your first impression is a bad one, then you're working to you're basically trying to recover that from the very beginning, and you're on the back foot the whole time. That's not where you want to be. You want to be the guy of high value. You want to be the one on top of the pedestal. You want her to be putting you on a pedestal. And that first impression of you, she sees first time she meets you, she's like, "Damn, this guy smells good. He dresses good. His breath's great. Holy shit! Like I've got to step up. I better impress this guy because this guy's fucking high value. I'm not going to see this. I don't get to meet many guys like this." Or when she first steps into your apartment, she's like, "Damn, this place looks nice. This guy has his shit together. I really want to make sure I bag this guy." These are the kind of thoughts you want to generate in her head in the first place, right? Here's another really good thing. There's a ton of information in this fucking thing. I hope you guys are learning stuff here. So, another real key to success, preparing for success, is to have condoms ready. Having condoms on your person and in a few different spots in your apartment. So, having condoms, I don't recommend keeping condoms like in your wallet because it can wear them down and it can fuck with them. But having them in your pocket, separate, having them on you, so they're ready to go. If things say escalate in a location that isn't your apartment, so maybe a car or something, right? If you don't have the best logistics, like somebody mentioned earlier on the chat, having condoms on you so you can proceed to sex, because you motherfuckers should all be wearing condoms if you're banging girls. You shouldn't be raw dogging girls out here, dirty bastards. And then when you're at your apartment, having condoms by your bedside table and having condoms maybe somewhere else in the apartment, like in the bathroom or in a cabinet, in the living room somewhere, in case you start getting hot and heavy with a girl and you start physically escalating and things can lead to sex. You want to be able to get the condom out and get down to business, because that little moment of like looking for the condom, being like, oh, you pull your dick out, you got a raging boner, she's ready to go, you're ready to go, and it's like, do you have a condom? That if you have to look around for like a minute or whatever to find a fucking condom somewhere, that minute is all it takes for her logical mind to creep up again and be like, Stacy, you're acting like a slut. Put your pants on. Get out of here. You're not a slut. It's not her not wanting to do it. It's not a Me Too situation. It's not a case of her like being forced into anything. It's just her anti-slut defense rearing its head and saying, no, make him wait. Extract more resources out of him. Extract more resources out of him so you make sure he's committed before you let him put a baby in you. It's that hindbrain, that subconscious evolved hindbrain that rears up. Because her emotions will override that logical side. If she's enjoying herself, if she's having fun, those thoughts don't pop into her head. But when you have that awkward downtime of searching for a condom, that's when that stuff can bubble up. So if you've got condoms in different places, if you've got condoms in your pants at all times, obviously don't fucking, on the date, don't fucking pull your wallet out and have your condom fall out. That's a bit embarrassing. Have it in sometimes in your jeans, you have these little pockets where you can keep keys and stuff, the tiny pocket at the front. That's where I like to keep it. You don't ever go in there and pull things out unnecessarily. But that little tactical information there can significantly can save you a lot of frustration with last minute resistance. That one little thing. Here's another thing. Not having like mood lighting and mood music or mood noise, like ambient noise. So if you bring a girl back to your place and in your bedroom, for example, if the lights are just super bright and blinding, kind of like these ones on me right now, that's not great. It's not like mood lighting, right? If the light is a little bit dimmer, you're more likely to. It's going to be a bit smoother to transition things into sex. Guys like to see things. Guys like the light. Women sometimes don't necessarily like to be as sort of basted in blinding light, especially if it's their first time with it, because sometimes they can get self-conscious with their bodies, even if they're beautiful. In fact, most beautiful women are self-conscious about their body in some way. So that is a way of sort of mitigating that. And then the other thing is, you don't want to, if you walk into your apartment and there's just dead silence, or there is dead silence between you two, that kind of awkwardness can be removed if there is some background music or some background ambient noise. So one of the things you can do before you leave for the date is set the lighting in your apartment, like have the mood lighting ready in your apartment, like in your bedroom or whatever, and then have a playlist already playing. Just have it on repeat when you walk out the door, so that when you come back home, the music's already going, you know. Or if you don't want to do that, if your neighbors don't want you fucking playing music all the time, then have it ready to go as soon as you walk in the door. Bang, music's playing. So that takes away that awkward silence. It takes away that awkwardness. And it just makes it a more fun, and then you can, you know, she's back at your place, you can go grab a drink, and it's a lot more of a fun, relaxed atmosphere than sort of an awkward, sterile, formal kind of, you know, atmosphere in that case. So that's just one example of some predate stuff that you guys can get into. Where did we get to? I'm going to catch up with the chat again before I go into the next section, because you guys are pretty talkative today. I like it. Oh boy, where we get to? Miles back. Nice shoes, let's fuck doesn't usually work as a starter line. Not in my experience. Thank you very much, Kiki. Purchase the book. He shares valuable practical wisdom. Thank you so much. Vicky says, I'm new on your streams. Welcome. Good to see you here. Working as I'm watching, in case I missed the answer, how do high-value men view women? How do high-value men view women who close on the first date? What do high-value women do? Well, look, I am going to say this right now, and this might be a bit controversial. If a woman doesn't fuck me on the first date, I immediately assume she's an idiot, because I am the shit. If a woman is intelligent, if she knows what the fuck if she goes after what she wants, she knows what the fuck she wants. You know, if she's got her head screwed on straight, she's going to recognize that I'm a dude who's worth being around. She's going to recognize that I have value, because I do. So if she finds some sort of excuse to not fuck me, if she doesn't have sex with me, I don't want to give her any more of my time. I've got plenty of other women lined up that I can go fuck instead. So that's my honest answer, Vicky, is that if a woman has sex with me on the first date, then I assume she is intelligent, because she picked a guy who's attractive, who's high value. That's my honest to God opinion. Other guys might have a slightly different opinion on that. But for the most part, guys, especially these days, guys aren't really going to spend time with a woman who isn't fucking with them, you know? But at the same time, there is a difference. Like, it's your value is like what you do after that is what determines whether or not he perceives you as a high value woman, whether or not he perceives you as a woman he wants to keep around. It's what you do after the sex. That is where the woman's game is played, if I'm being honest. I think John was in the chat here. He might have dropped a few examples in the chat. I think I just quickly, briefly saw some examples from John later on down here. Let's keep going. Here we go. Yeah, this is Modern Life Dating. Good to see you in the chat, John. I have a lovely servant woman who cooks and cleans for me. So this is a perfect example of what a high-value woman would do. This is a perfect example of what would keep is what is going to make a high-value man want to keep a woman around in his life after the sex is done. After he's already fucked her. Obviously, he wants to keep fucking her. Wants the sex to be good. But then her chick game is her like cooking and cleaning for him, like being really like cooking really good, delicious food, giving like massaging his shoulders after a hard day at work, being pleasant to be around, being nice and fun and bubbly, like making his life easier. These are all things that are going to make him want to keep you around. It's going to lull. I think John uses this phrase of like, it's sort of, she lulls you into this sense of just like comfort, and you're like, yeah, I'll keep her around. That's chick game. That's being so pleasant and nice that he wants to just keep you around all the time. You know, it's not being a strong, independent woman. It's not being a bad bitch. It's not being hard to get. It's none of that stuff. That's just that a dude is a high value guy is gonna be like, oh, this girl ain't worth my time. They're gonna fucking discard you. It's this stuff. It's this nice stuff that's gonna make him want to keep you around. You know. Yes, that's a very good point, Davina. I was gonna mention that too. They're having extra toothbrushes, towels, soap, etc. If you have like a guest bathroom, right? Having a really well stocked guest bathroom with like extra things. Here's another little tidbit: having spare like tampons and pads visibly in your if you have a guest bathroom, visibly in your guest bathroom, even if no one ever fucking uses them, communicates that you're a guy who clearly has female friends, because you would know what bachelor has like pads and tampons in his fucking apartment, right? Either a guy who's living with a woman and he's lying about it. That's one. But if you're not that guy, then a guy who has lots of female friends around all the time would have that. No one else would have that. Some guys might argue me might argue with me and say, oh, that makes you look like a fucking beta chump. That makes you look like a bit of a pussy. I don't know. Try it out for yourself. See what your results are. You know. Let's keep going. Yep. Another good example there, Marlon. Keep your car in tip-top shape. Not having fucking trash all through your car is another great example if you're going to drive at home. Real quickly, is there adult entertainment opportunities in Vancouver? Yes, there is. There is a porn industry in Canada. Yes. And obviously in Budapest. Let's keep going. Supreme Leader Modern Life Dating in the chat. Pay homage. Indeed paid homage. Let's keep going. Yep, as I've said, you only get one opportunity to make a first impression. Don't slip up on hygiene. Exactly. Clean bed sheets, another great example there, Davina. Not having fucking jizz stains or whatever, I don't know, on your fucking bed sheets, you filthy degenerates. Chris King, thank you, sir, with the $5 super chat. Good morning, brother Stirling. I believe you said you're back on the West Coast. I am indeed. Next, over 10,000 subs by the end of summer. Keep it up. Well, hopefully, we're almost at 8,000. So, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, subscribe right now and hit that like button while you're at it. Helps us show up. We're starting to grow a bit. It's great to see. It's really great to see. Reaching more men. Helping everyone out. Kiki said, do you suggest using condoms for oral sex as well? No, because blowjobs with a condom on suck. So, no. It's the chances of you of a guy contracting chlamydia or gonorrhea from the back of a girl's throat is pretty. It is possible, but it is pretty slim because you have to be like it hides right at the back of the throat. So the way that women get like chlamydia or gonorrhea in the back of their throat is from a guy's penis, an infected penis, jizzing into the back of her throat and getting the virus or bacterial load back there, and it grows back there. So typically, it's actually the girl who's more likely to catch something from a blowjob than the guy. So there you go. Let's keep going. Do women like smell of cologne? Yes. Don't use too much of it, though. Some guys have just fucking dump way too much cologne on themselves. Yeah, don't go ridiculous. Let's keep going. See, what did I just say? Some guys overdo the cologne. See, fucking I know what I'm talking about, guys. Come on. Let's keep going. Trimming. Yeah, very good point here, Davina. Trim your nails. Yeah, especially if you're going to be fingering girls, do not have fucking dirty ass, like grimy nails. Women notice that shit fucking instantly. You do not want to be, they do not want your grimy ass fingernails anywhere near their vagina. So keep these nice and fucking tidy. Very good point. Get fingered by the claw. Jesus Christ. That's a good question. Where was it? God, you guys are talkative today. I've got to keep up with this. Mike Johnson says, any suggested playlists on to relax a girl? At my Spotify playlist, I actually like to use the Arctic Monkeys. I have an entire Arctic Monkeys playlist that's really good. It's really like good sex. It's good music to fuck to. It's got a nice beat, nice tempo to it, and it's about like it's not really simpy music. A lot of their music talks about like sluts and talks about women and stuff. It's like kind of in a cool way. I like it. Arctic Monkeys. That's just my suggestion. That's what I've been using for years, but you do your own thing. What's up? Hypnosis for Men. Good to see you in the chat, my friend. Always good to see you. I need to get you back on the show, man. We need to do another chat. It's been too long. What else we got here? Mystery with the question. Hi. How do I create plausible deniability in an efficient way? I always used night view as an excuse. I rent an Airbnb, but sometimes the girls may not come over. How to facilitate a smoother process? So there's an entire section in my book here about engineering plausible deniability, giving them an excuse to bounce back to your place. So a view is one example of a way to do that. A lot of guys I know use their pets as a way of doing that. Oh, come check out my dog. I think you'd really like you would get along really well with my dog. You'd like my dog. Blah blah blah. That kind of stuff. I've used my podcast gear as an excuse to get a girl back to my place before. It's like she's talked about, oh, I'm thinking about starting a podcast. Oh, really? Well, come check out my setup. I'll show you exactly what to do. She walks in the door, takes one look at it, and then bang, we're into sex. Like that. It doesn't take that much. You can use damn near anything to get a woman back to your place, as long as it's not like so obvious that you're joking about it. As long as if you sell it like it's something cool and fun that you can keep talking about or you can interact with and have fun with, say, I don't know, like an arcade machine or a foosball table or something like that, you can make some. Okay, I'm making this off the top of my head. This example: if you had some kind of game or something at your place, like a foosball table, air hockey table, an arcade game, whatever the fuck it is, you can seed that earlier on in the night and say something like, "Oh, I've got this game. I'm undefeated in my house at this game. Like, I'll bet you a cocktail on the next date that you can't score a point against me. Something like that. Right? I'm just making this off the top of my head, but it creates a fun scenario for the two of you to play into. Right? Plausible deniability. Let's keep going. Yeah, so here's an interesting point. So some dating coaches say that it's better to be direct and tell her that you want to make things happen versus being indirect. She may not think you like her. You're being a nice guy when indirect. So part of this is it's not necessarily about being indirect. You're not indirect with where you're leading the interaction. You're not indirect with with the end goal. You're not indirect with the steps you're taking. And you're not indirect with your physical escalation. You're still escalating on it physically. This is the important point. You're not, however, giving the game away verbally. You're not saying things like, let's fuck. But in defense, sometimes that'll work. If a girl is like totally into you, that'll absolutely work. And if you can tell that she's totally into you, then fine. Go ahead and do that. But for the most part, most women aren't going to be sort of super straight down to fuck like immediately. So giving her that plausible deniability, taking her on the ride, giving her the experience of the seduction rather than just dumping it on her is going to allow you to close on a much wider variety of women, in my experience at least. Let's keep going. Real quickly, Samuel says, how I Grew My Penis book exercises prevent shrinking? If you're someone who doesn't take matters into their own hands, doesn't take matters into their own hands. I'm actually not sure what you mean by that. By take matters into their own hands. Honest to God, Samuel, I don't know what you're talking about here. Sorry, mate. Yeah, sorry. Danny, good to see you in the chat as always. Let's keep going. Tampons are also great for nosebleeds. Good to see you, Randall. I think I've almost caught up with the chat here. Any other questions here? No. Okay. Oh, okay, Samuel. We're trying to avoid saying jerking off. Got it. Well, I just said it, so there you go. How do you avoid shrinkage if you're not someone who jerks off? Well, I'm not sure. I'm still not really sure what you're asking, Samuel. Are you talking about like your penis getting smaller because you're not jerking off? I'm not really sure what you mean. Question from... Well, first of all, good point here, Davina. There's a distinction between being direct and being crude, correct? And Mystery said, question is vagina feels not tight? Means she has tried many bigger dicks, or my dick is sore? No, it doesn't actually. This is for guys who haven't really had much experience. It doesn't mean that. Women have different sizes. The same way that men have different sized penises, women have different sized vaginas. It's not because... And the vagina is an elastic thing. So, you know, a woman who I work with girls who have had hundreds, if not thousands of dicks. Now, probably hundreds. Yeah, let's be honest, hundreds. Hundreds of dicks. Well, probably not even 100, actually. Probably like 100, because it's the same dicks again and again, if I'm being honest. But they've had a lot of sex, let's say that much. It doesn't... And they're tight as hell. It doesn't change. Like, the vagina is elastic. Like, remember, a baby has to go through it. So it doesn't change. Like, about the only thing that will actually make a woman's vagina looser is having a baby, is giving birth. And that's why after they give birth, they have to do Kegel exercises to sort of get that elasticity back in their vagina and get it tighter again. So, no. Like, there's no difference between a woman having, like... If a woman has 100 different dicks, or she has the same dick 100 times, it doesn't make a difference to her vagina. A baby, however, does. So I hope that's a bit of education there. Or a bowling ball, Gabriel. Yes, if she has a bowling ball pass through her vagina, that's probably going to make it a bit looser. Yes. Where do we get to? Rage Guy says, Mystery tries domination course. Here's a chapter on anatomy. Thank you very much for the plug, Rage Guy. Much appreciated. Let's go through another... We've already been for like an hour. But let's, again, if you want to get your hands on this book, the link, my new book, the link is in the chat. Link is in the description below. It is on pre-sale, 50% discount until 5 o'clock Pacific time today. But I'm going to go through one more. Let's go back through. Let's find one more example of something we can... actually, I want to give you examples of something to do on the date and back at your place. So let's just try and find another one. Let's move on from that. Okay, here's a really good one, right? So, seeding the pull, right? Like I said before, having some excuse to pull it back to your place, some kind of plausible deniability, right? You don't want to straight up say, let's go back to my place, typically, because that can trigger some anti-slut defenses, right? So whatever pre-planned excuse you have can pretty much be anything. What's even better is to seed the pull during the date long before you ever even try to pull it back to your place. So what I mean by that is you casually talk about that thing, that cool thing that's back at your place, during your conversation with her, and then you change topic and you keep talking for the rest of the night about something else. But at some point during the date, when you're chatting, you've mentioned, like maybe it's early on, maybe it's 5-10 minutes in or whatever, you've mentioned this thing that is an excuse to pull back. So that way, when you bring it up later on at the end of the date, like, oh, my dog, she's so cute, she's handsome, whatever, let's go back to my place and you can meet her. It's not this thing that you've just pulled up out of thin air at the end of the date, which makes it look like an excuse to pull back, right? It makes it smoother. It makes it less awkward, and it's less. It's more plausible deniability. If I'm being honest, it's just another layer of plausible deniability. She's already kind of familiar with it, with that concept, with that idea. So that's the idea of seeding the pull while you're on the date, right? And then and we'll go over one more example of something to do when you're back at your place, right? So this concept, this concept can save a lot of dudes frustration, and it's this idea of red light, yellow light, green light. So inexperienced guys will be very hesitant to escalate unless they get in what we would call enthusiastic verbal consent, which is what women would like, which is what feminists tell you these days, to be honest. Yeah, unless she has enthusiastic verbal consent, it's a no. So the guys are very hesitant to even physically escalate. So for the most part, you want to realize that women are very rarely going to say things like, please kiss me, please grab my ass, please finger me, like, please take my pants off. They're not going to say these things for the most part. Sometimes this has happened, but for the most part, this is not going to occur. So they're not doing that because they want plausible deniability, it's anti-slut defense, etc. Right? You're the guy. You have to do the escalating. It's your job to do that, right? So this idea of red light, yellow light, green light is very, very helpful for guys. So what's an example of this? So if she explicitly says no, stop, no or stop, any of these things, right? Or she physically stops you from doing something, that is a red light. Stop what the fuck you're doing. And it's probably either time to end the date, or just don't escalate any further, because obviously there's something wrong, right? That is a firm no. That is a red light, right? That's where we're stopping. Now, if she's, but then the concept of a yellow light, right? If she's unreactive to what you're doing, right? If she's going along with what you're doing, if she's not explicitly saying no, then it is okay to keep escalating. If she's not telling you stop, if she's complying with your physical escalation, then that's fine. That is a yellow light. She's not giving you an indicator of yes, and she's not giving you an indicator of no. She's complying, but she's physically complying with you. So that's her basically saying, cool, keep doing this. I'm not going to tell you to keep doing this because that will make me come across like a slut, but keep doing this, right? And then obviously she says things like, yes, keep going. Yes, please do this. Yes, do that. Take my pants off. If he actually does say these things, that's obviously a green light, right? But most guys, too many guys are sitting around. This is the analogy, right? Too many guys are sitting around waiting for a green light when they should be moving things forward through yellow lights, right? This is not the real life. Isn't a porno. It's not a pornography. You're very rarely going to have her giving you this kind of enthusiastic verbal consent that you would see in the movies that I star in, where she's trying to escalate things on you, right? So stop expecting it to happen that way, and you work with what you have instead. So this one concept of red light, yellow light, green light is really important for guys to understand. And the red light part is important too, because you need to know when to stop. I mean, I know guys have concerns about things like Me Too. I saw a few guys like mentioning this, in the chat earlier. They're concerned that this is how you mitigate. This is how you know you're not in a Me Too situation. This is how you don't get into that situation, is by learning to read women like this, because they're not going to make it easy for you. Let's be honest. Where did we get to? Was there another question here? Mystery says, I always used, let me know if you feel comfortable, so I'll stop. These empathetic sentences will help her get more relaxed. You can say things like that. You can definitely say things like that. It does kind of, it shows like a degree of awareness. Yeah, it shows a degree of awareness. She has to know that you will stop. And I have another section about that in this book as well. But for the most part, what Davina has said here is correct. Some women will give mixed signals, so you'll want to slow down in that case. It's about not rushing into things, right? Because again, she wants to sort of feel she wants to feel the whole roller coaster. She doesn't want you to just like dive into it, right? Mike Johnson, what a great question. I think this is a fantastic question for us to end on here. I think. Is there a good way to kick her out after sex, but see her again in the future? Yeah, you can make some, again, more plausible deniability for yourself this time. You can make an excuse. You can be like, hey, I've got to get up really early in the morning. I've got a really important business meeting. I've got a really important thing to do in the morning. I've got to go straight to bed. It was fantastic. I had a great time. I had a great time. Let's do this again. I want to see you again or whatever. And then, escort her out the door. But it's, you don't even necessarily need to say, I want to see you again. You can let her chase you up after the sex. That's another way of sort of seeing if she might be the kind of woman you want to keep around. And here we go. Gabrielle E. just ordered it. Sterling, thank you for the tips. You're welcome, Gabrielle. Thank you very much. Look, I hope, honestly, God, I hope this, one more time, it's, links here in the chat now. It is, I'll drop the link again on its own because that is a bit harder to click on. But the link is here in the chat right now. The link is in the description down below as well. The book is called How to Seal the Deal, a tactical guide to getting laid on the first date. And like I said, it's jam-packed full of information like this. It's packed full of all these little tactical tips and tricks that guys can use to just close more consistently on dates. Because too many guys are out here not getting laid. I tend to focus on improving guys' performance in the bedroom. But if you're not having sex in the first place, then you can't even start to get better in the bed. So let's start with that first piece. Let's get you laid more often. Then we can work on improving your bedroom game as well. All right. Exactly. And as John has said, Stirling doing God's work as always. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. What has Mystery said here? Question: can overnight work with friends with benefits? Obviously, we want to avoid her catching feelings. Shall we keep text calls minimal after that to balance it out? You want to keep your attention. Your attention should be tied to sex, right? If that's what you want. If you want her to be just a friend with benefits, keep her around for sex. Like I don't like you. It depends how you want to play it. Like I tend to get girls to stay over because it makes them catch feelings, and then I don't catch feelings as easy. So it puts you in a position. It kind of puts you in more of a position of power. But each to their own in that part, I guess. I'll jump into this one more question. How to go from sub to dom? In porn, they always show the girl dominating the guy, but women want to be dominated. That's correct. I guess the more you do it, the more you'll enjoy it and get used to wanting to be a dom. Yeah, you do. You'll go from being a passive guy in the bedroom to being a very active guy and leading the interaction, and you'll do things that you enjoy and you want to do. That's part of being a dom. Right? Yeah, if you're not there naturally, it takes practice and it takes time. You baby step yourself through it, and I show guys exactly how to do that in my video course, Sexual Dominance Escalation. I show you how to baby step, your way to that. But it takes practice, absolutely. Yeah, and Rage Guy has said just here, yeah, my video course will teach you exactly how to do that. Let's keep going. Any other questions I want to jump in on here? I would let girls sleep over, but sometimes they snore. Well, I'm the one that snores, so I'm fine with that. Oh, here we go. Thank you very much, Maximus. Been taking notes on your tips on having good sex. Really appreciate all the content. You're welcome, sir. You're very welcome. Anything else? Yes, good point, Krells. Hit that like button. Get those likes up. It's the least you can do if you're watching. If you're just watching this stuff, you're enjoying my content, just give me a like. Helps more people see it. Helps me, help more guys. Helps the channel grow. All those kinds of good things. Here we go. Great tips so far. Just move the new toothbrush, toothpaste, soap, shampoo, and conditioner to the guest bathroom. Well done. So there you go. Already taken action. Bang. That's what I want to see. I want to see guys taking action straight away. Anyway, that'll do us for today, guys. One more time. The link is in the chat. The book is actually. I'll show you. Let's before you disappear, I'll actually show you the page where you buy it. Bang. This is the Gumroad page where you can go find it. How to seal the deal. a tactical guide to getting laid on the first date. It is currently on pre-order for $24 until 5 p.m. Pacific time today. So get on it right now. The price will jump up to $49 after that. So if you want to save yourself some money, jump on it right now. That's my way of thanking you guys for, supporting the channel, for being on my email list, being on my YouTube channel, wherever you might be, wherever you might have found me from. That's my way. So without further ado, that'll do us for today, guys. Enjoy yourself. Have a great Monday. Have a great rest of your week. And leave some comments down below if you've got any more tips, tricks, techniques you want to share with everybody else. Then by all means, drop them in the chat in the comment section down below, and we'll all get better together. All right. Until next time. Catch you later.